we are in a climate where dating and relationships are getting harder. We really just wanted to talk about the relationship dynamic between Hyun-woo and Hae-in. Because I feel like it's something a lot of people go through. You know, this whole dynamic of loving each other but not being able to talk to each other.
Because you're always going to experience conflict in any type of relationship, whether it's romantic or not. But
there's a lot of problems
healthy
and a lot to
way
learn.
to have to argue or to have conflict, and that's really what this video is about. You have to know each other's fighting style, the runners and chasers, right?
The thing is, when you have an argument, it actually is a window into the person.
It's just like building a muscle, right? Like in order to build a muscle stronger
That's
and
a
bigger,
better analogy.
like you actually have to tear the muscle fibers for them to grow back stronger. Hello, we are back.
And we are back for another episode today of Cozy Psych. So you know what time it is?
You know what time it is? It's tea time.
It's jammy time.
It's
Cozy Psych time. Thank you for ruining that. I appreciate that.
We can't let it get too good.
It sucks when it's good.
Exactly.
Okay, so here we are in another episode, and actually today I wanted to talk about this K-drama I've been watching. So Queen.
A lot of people have been watching this.
A lot of people have been watching
You got
this.
me hooked
and
onto this, babe.
I had to make you watch it because let's be honest, at the start it's a bit lukewarm.
It took like
is a bit
3 to 4
lukewarm.
episodes to get into.
And so what exactly is the show, Celina?
It's Queen of Tears. Queen of Tears.
That's exactly the show that we want to talk about today because I feel like it's such a relevant topic for people nowadays, and we are in a climate where dating and relationships are getting harder because of all kinds of factors that are making relationships and building healthy relationships hard, which is making healthy relationships harder to build, essentially. Anyway, so Queen of Tears is the story of Hyun-woo
and Hae-in. Yeah, Hyun-woo is the leading male.
He's the leading male, and Hae-in is the rich CEO's daughter.
Yeah.
Essentially, this guy who doesn't know anything about her, doesn't know she's like actually the head of the group where he's working at, and he decides to start flirting with her, court her, and you know, it's a K-drama.
Yeah.
You know what to expect.
The main like kind of like theme here or dynamic here is Hae-in is the queen of tears, where she's not actually the one who cries. It's
actually the male.
It's Hyun-woo
who cries often because
of the suffering.
Because there is suffering from success, especially when you marry someone at that level of success. You know, their family is very rich, so there are a lot of problems. A lot of money, a lot of problems, essentially.
Oh, so we are assuming that you guys have at least watched some episodes. So disclaimer, we haven't finished the series, but we've watched we're maybe halfway or a third into
around
it.
halfway through.
So warning, major spoilers ahead, but please don't spoil us yet in the comments.
Please don't spoil
Maybe
us.
a year from now you can.
So if you do have thoughts on it, please feel free to share. But today we really just wanted to talk about the relationship dynamic between Hyun-woo and Hae-in. Because I feel like it's something a lot of people go through. You know, this whole dynamic of loving each other but not being able to talk to each other.
And experiencing conflict in a relationship, because you're always going to experience conflict in any type of relationship, whether it's romantic or not. But I think we can learn so far, me and Bella are learning a few things from Hyun-woo and Hae-in's relationship, because there seem to be so many problems.
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of problems
healthy
and a lot to
way
learn.
to have to argue or to have conflict, and that's really what this video is about.
Yeah, so thank you for starting that off, Celina. And yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts. What do you think of arguments in a relationship or conflict in general? Is it something that you avoid? Is it that something you're afraid of? Because obviously we all have this perception of arguments. It's a bad thing. It's heavy. I don't want to deal with that right now. I have too much on my plate. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. What do you think of arguments and conflict in your personal relationships?
Yeah, like I think arguments and conflicts are unavoidable. I think that it's almost, if you haven't really argued with someone, it's hard to say, are you really, or at least disagreed with someone, are you really that close? Because it takes a certain level of comfort with a person to openly disagree with them and to risk the rupture in the relationship. So, right? Wouldn't you agree?
I really like that point you said about it takes a certain level of comfort. In a sense, you could say it takes a certain level of trust
Exactly.
in someone.
That's the word. Yeah.
Being able to open up about your differing ideas or feelings on something, and knowing that despite these differences, you still choose to be with each other.
And that's what Hyun-woo and Hae-in are doing, actually.
Yeah.
In the first few episodes that we watched, it seems like they're both suffering in different ways. And it's like they both almost don't really want to be in the relationship, but they're still in the relationship.
Spoilers, a big part of the conflict at the earlier part of the story was Hyun-woo really choosing to divorce Hae-in. Keeping the documents secret for her until the very last moment. That was a big conflict at the start because there were so many problems that they couldn't navigate through together.
And right?
Hyun-woo decided, I don't want this.
We wanted to stop trying. But like throughout the series, they take it back and back, way back, and to give context as to why kind of like they stopped trying. And I don't know exactly, past a certain point what's going on, but the major conflict that was revealed was that like Hae-in had a miscarriage, right?
So that was the big, I guess, gorge or ridge that slowly started to separate them. But they were both in pain. They were both suffering, and they both had different ways of dealing with it. One wanted to talk about it.
One wanted to grieve together.
Hyun-woo
right?
He wanted to grieve together, you're right. While Hae-in, on the other hand, she wanted to just get it out.
Yeah.
She didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's painful for her to see it and talk about it.
That's why she had the baby's room like dismantled,
Removed,
which really hurt Hyun-woo.
Yeah.
And we kind of see there, that's where they really start to diverge. Just so sad. Hae-in, like, trying to keep it strong, like she's not affected. And yet, secretly, when she's alone, she collapses and has a breakdown. While Hyun-woo is quite
also
open
having a
and
breakdown on his own, but trying his best to be open.
looking for support,
Yeah.
looking for something. So years down the line, obviously you see like the series opens with Hyun-woo just really being harboring this resentment.
Anger. That's where the series starts. We don't see initially like how it all happens. We just start off seeing all the huge divide that already kind of erupted between the two from all of these events, all of these conflicts that were never resolved,
never addressed
or resolved in any way. And that's why I wanted to talk about this today, because I feel like there is a fear. I feel like there's generally growing up, right? I'd say that we all were raised to, like a lot of us, especially in our context. So we are we're from the Philippines.
Yes. Hello.
Hi. Mabuhay. Woo! So in our culture, we're very collective.
Collectivist.
We're collectivist. And in that sense, we prioritize the peace more than our individual needs.
Yeah. A lot of Asian cultures are like that. Like Koreans, like which is,
Japanese people also.
Like Hae-in and Hyun-woo are they're Korean, right? So that's why you still see that strong collectivist
coming into play.
Yeah, where they're enduring
enduring the pain on their own rather than causing drama.
for the sake of the harmony of the family, like to not disrupt the social harmony of the family, particularly Hae-in's family.
Yes.
But yeah, so we see them just harboring this resentment towards each other. Now, I wanted to bring it into, for example, how does that manifest in how our relationships and how we handle relationships, right? So I think an insight I learned from there, which I think a lot of people in relationships can take away, is that you have to know each other's fighting style, for lack of a better.
That's a good point. What is your fighting style or your coping style? Even
that's probably a better.
How do you cope with problems?
Yeah, like I think Hae-in kind of presents the type of people who might be a little more avoidant, or who might, they try to keep it strong, and they have a tendency to push people away when they feel hurt or overwhelmed.
Yeah, because of course, considering also her position, she's in a precarious position where she has to show strength. So by, I guess, engaging in in maybe talking about her feelings, it might make her reflect on these things that might make her feel weak, right?
Yeah.
Or make her break down, which she's, in her context, she's not allowed to do, right? So maybe that's why she grew to cope in this way, which is really to avoid the problem instead of having to allow herself these episodes of weakness.
A lot of those eldest child and eldest girl,
Some of
eldest
you
girl
out
child
there.
the people who have had to take responsibility for things, who
Can't
had
really
to show that they're strong.
weakness.
So I just want to, maybe you can reflect more with Hae-in's coping style. Now, for people like Hyun-woo, it seems
Avoidant
like-
boys, avoidant girlies out there. Woo.
but it seems like he's not. Well,
Oh, sorry,
sort
not
of,
avoidant.
Not as avoidant, but
Sorry,
well,
I'm the avoidant one. My bad. I'm on Hae-in's team.
projecting.
I'm on Hae-in's team.
So people like Hyun-woo, I think, they tend to seek people out
For support.
for support. They're more open about. He's more open about his emotions. Like, it was called Queen of Tears because Hae-in's the queen of his tears, the source of his tears. So you really see him crying a lot, complaining a lot, and that's why he wants a divorce, because he can't deal with these things anymore. But it shows how I think he would have appreciated, especially in that point when they had a miscarriage, that for them to bond together and to talk about it and process it
to
together.
grow through it together, because of course that was a difficult time for them, and he couldn't do it alone. So it seemed like his way of coping was really to
Reach out.
but when that didn't happen, you see that he ends up getting disappointed, and eventually that resentment builds up over time, and that's when we see that the whole rift was
happens.
couldn't be absolved anymore.
It's good to reflect why you might gravitate towards a certain coping style. There are some people, I think, stereotypically in arguments in a relationship, right? The runners and chasers, right?
I think that can apply to a lot of things, also in relationships, maybe.
Yeah.
So there are some people who are more avoidant in dealing with things, and some people who are more aggressive.
They need to approach. They can't handle the space.
Yeah.
So,
Or uncertainty even, right? Because by dealing with the problem immediately, it removes the uncertainty, right?
yeah.
So
So it's not necessarily wrong, and like there are reasons why you might have acquired this attachment style, which we kind of go over in our previous videos. So we'll link it up here.
Or
Is it
there.
up there? We're not
or
really used to
there.
things.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. But then
You'll find out.
yeah, there are reasons why like
People have certain attachment styles depending on how they were brought up, and it's not to say that one is more wrong than the other. It's to say that we all have our differences, and that is okay. And so going back to the reason for this video that we wanted to start is because we want to reframe this whole perception of arguing or just have conflicts. Just having conflicts in a relationship as a bad thing. The thing is, when you have an argument, it actually is a window into the person. Because
I love how you put that.
it allows you to see their needs. It allows you to both communicate what exactly you need in this relationship to help it to grow. Because if everything was a happy time, then there would be no need to grow. There would be no need to adjust. But by allowing yourself the opportunity to maybe push boundaries, to push your needs onto each other, maybe in a conflict, you actually verbalize what you need. And you allow the other person the opportunity to maybe adjust.
Yeah.
But if you didn't allow that person to adjust, you just allowed you allowed yourself to just keep it in. You didn't mention anything. You don't allow the person an opportunity to change and grow for you. I think that's what I just really wanted to talk about in this relationship, in this specific video, because I love arguments. I will say now, I hate
She
it.
really does.
I hate it. But I love the effect it has on my relationships.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's just like building a muscle, right? Like
Yeah.
in order to build a muscle stronger
That's
and
a
bigger,
better analogy.
like you actually have to tear the muscle fibers for them to grow back stronger. The body knows it's being used and being broken down, so it builds it even stronger to withstand the stress next time. And I love how you put that, because we can't avoid arguments. And was it the Gottmans who said that it's really like, it's not necessarily how much you argue to a certain extent, but how you repair. How
It's not about avoiding arguments. Because, again, we can't avoid it. As Celina mentioned earlier, what you can do is navigate strategies on how to build healthier arguments.
like bringing it back to Hyun-woo and Hae-in, I think they both assumed that, or rather, Hyun-woo assumed that Hae-in wasn't in pain. Or it was like shutting him
He
out.
thought it was just him.
Yeah, he thought he was the only one hurting.
Because they didn't
yeah,
say anything. No
Yeah.
one said anything, so no one knew where each other was. No one knew what each other was, what they were feeling, right? So they just assumed the other one was okay.
yeah. Hae-in probably assumed that about Hyun-woo. Like, he probably I'll just give him space. He'll get over it because that's what helps me. When I get space from the situation, that's what helps me get over the conflict. However, the first step is really understanding how the other person processes and deals with conflict. How do they feel pain? What's their knee-jerk reaction?
How do they cope with that pain?
And kind of like learning and understanding each other's coping styles first, so that it's really about understanding that the other person, even if they don't deal with the pain in the same way, that they still care. Right?
Yeah.
If they only knew how much the other person still cared about each other. I feel like their
That would have made such a huge difference on the relationship.
Exactly.
Not just taking away assumptions, right? Taking away your knee-jerk reaction to assume that people are this way. Because the reality of things is our perceptions of people are not always 100% accurate. Surprise! Humans are different.
And I don't know if I remember if it's also the Gottmans who said that it's healthy to assume that your partner has actually good intentions and has the best interests of the relationship. And like, let's say if they do something that upsets you, kind of posing that question, not automatically assume that they are intentionally hurting your feelings,
you.
but kind of being curious, is this what's helping them cope with their feelings? And then kind of like, it's like that term, the benefit of the doubt. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt as to, assuming they have good intentions, but then being curious as to, I wonder why they dealt with it that way instead of the way that I expected or the way that I would deal with things.
Okay, I love that point. If we already initially assume the worst of them, then that means that in anything they do, we already think, oh, they're trying to hurt us. And that doesn't really help.
What happens? You push them away, you ask for divorce, and then it's Queen of Tears.
Queen of Tears, you make a movie, you make a show out of it. Amazing, thank you.
But yeah, so really excited to see how this one ends. We might have more insights for this and more content on it, depending on what happens.
Maybe later on we can also talk about the four horsemen of
the apocalypse. Yeah, that the Gottmans.
So essentially, Gottman also talks about some communication styles that definitely kill a relationship. So that's maybe another part that
let
we can
us
do.
know if you're interested. If you
interested in
guys,
that.
if we get enough likes and comments, then we'll consider
Yeah.
making that a video for you. So just let us know. We hoped you
Yes.
enjoyed learning and discussing and just chatting with us about this.
Yup. And
Yeah. So
look
if
out
you
for the
guys
other videos.
if you guys enjoy this type of content where we just chat about like fun everyday pop culture things through the lens of psychologists in training, consider liking and subscribing.
Hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode. Bye.